Welcome to today's Changemakers Bite Size. Thank you for joining us. Changemakers Bite Size is brought to you today by SA Partners as part of our learning series. I'm delighted to be joined today by Dr. Brian Cutcliffe, who will be sharing his thoughts on building a learning organisation. I hope you enjoyed the session. We look forward to seeing you on another one soon. Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you for that, Elsa. I'm excited to be able to present this topic because it's one that is very near and dear to my heart. As you see in the little tagline, I enjoy creating environments where people can really thrive, and creating a learning organization is one way to do that. I've been an executive leader for nearly a decade and have seen firsthand the benefits that come from creating an environment where employees thrive, leaders inspire, and are given the framework that they need to make all work meaningful. Through my doctoral research, I learned that engagement happens when people are encouraged to take chances and learn from their actions. And in my personal ministry, I teach these concepts to several hundred of people each week and have the blessing of watching them flourish and achieve their dreams. And it is my hope that over the next 30 minutes, you'll find some great value out of what I will present to you today. This webinar will give you the knowledge and framework to proactively shape your organization's future by focusing on creating a learning organization. And by understanding what it takes to build it, you'll be able to create a culture that drives continuous improvement, agility, and long-term success. Together, we're going to explore the essential components of a learning organization, how to assess if your business is ready for this transformative journey, and provide you with the information you need to build a business case for investing in this type of culture. By the end of the session, you'll have the tools and insights to determine whether your organization is prepared to embark on the learning journey and what 3 actions you can take today to get started. So let's begin. As you take a look at this picture, I want you to think to yourself, what are some of the emotions that you are currently feeling? The environment that we are in impacts our emotions, which impacts our ability to focus. Now, as you look at this picture, you might feel emotions like serenity, curiosity, trust, gratefulness, or even peacefulness. When we feel this way, we can focus our mental energies on the work and task at hand, often because these emotions will lead to joy, admiration, amazement, and hopefulness. And when a leader leads in a way that allows people to envision calm skies like this one, we create an environment where cohesion and innovation can occur. Now take a look at this picture. What do you feel? People will often state that they feel anxious, discouraged, apprehensive, pensive, or even a little annoyed. When we feel these emotions, it causes us to seize up and only focus on what is in front of us, this pending storm. And these emotions can lead to feelings of fear, sadness, or even angry. When we lead in this way, it can create a sense of control and confinement, where the best behavior that we can expect from people is hiding until the storm is over. The best leaders create learning environments. In a rapidly and changing business environment, the ability to learn, adapt, and innovate is vital to help us become innovative, and is important for us to ensure our long-term success. Organizations that foster continuous learning are better equipped to face challenges, drive innovation, and achieve sustainable growth. So this webinar is designed specifically for those individuals that are looking to create an environment where individuals can thrive, can be inspired, and engage in the work of improvement every day. At the end of the day, let's be honest with ourselves. People come home from work and will often talk about their highs and lows. And this is because as people, we are constantly appraising or judging the behaviors of others and how our organization is helping or not helping to create a learning environment. So by focusing our attention on this important area, we help people to appraise our leadership in a much more positive light and to appraise our organization as being much more supportive and helpful. And in doing that, we increase the well-being that people feel and the desire to act. This also leads to people engaging in helpful behaviors, staying and endorsing, but also performing above average work and doing it on their own free will and choice to be able to engage in this important work of improvement. So you want your people to make positive appraisals of your leadership behavior as well as your organization, because it will create momentum that you need to achieve excellent results. Edgar Schein has been quoted as saying, "The only thing of real importance that leaders do is to create and manage culture. If you do not manage culture, it manages you, and you may not even be aware of the extent to which this is happening." For the remainder of this presentation, I'm going to give you a few tips for how you can manage the culture in a way that creates a learning organization by enhancing these components, which is creating constancy of purpose, leaders developing others with purpose, and ensuring that processes are designed to support purpose-driven behavior. From the book Out of Crisis, Dr. Deming, an individual who heavily influenced the concept of total quality management and the Japanese industry, explained that we need constancy of purpose to solve the problems of today and the problems of tomorrow. And this particular point is from his 14 points of transformation of management. Constancy of purpose ensures that an organization remains focused on improving its products and services to stay competitive in the market. This long-term perspective helps businesses to innovate continually and adapt to changing market conditions, thereby strengthening their position in the industry. Another benefit, by prioritizing long-term goals over short-term profits, companies can ensure that sustainability and create stable employment. And lastly, when employees understand and align with the organization's purpose, they are more likely to be engaged and motivated. And this alignment reduces fear and uncertainty, which encourages employees to continue to contribute ideas and take initiatives without fear of repercussions. As you remember the slide that I showed before, as we create this learning environment, these are the real tangible benefits that we get. So the first question that you can ask yourself to assess your organization if it's ready to embark on this journey, or if you have the components there, is to ask the question, can everyone at all levels state what we are trying to accomplish? What we're trying to accomplish in the day, in the week, in the month, in the quarter, in the year, or as the organization as a whole. Now, where do you start? Because this can often feel quite lofty. Often, organizations use many words to try to get their message across, with statements that mention what they strive to be, what they want to be the best in the world in, how they'll accomplish the vision, or why they're doing it. But these phrases do little to inspire or motivate individuals to take action, and often require double the words to explain. Alternatively, quick statements or slogans like these can serve as a vision proxy. Let's review some of these examples. Every life deserves world-class care. Think differently. Saving people money so they can live better. Inspire the world, create the future. And my personal favorite, play on. These slogans are tied to statements of mission and vision, and they provide messages that are clear to employees and customers alike. They are meant to reflect the underlying values that the organization holds very dear and can help provide continuity with the change vision that an individual may hold for a particular initiative. So as you go out today, ask your people around you to help you create a slogan or motto. In one organization that I led as an executive, we had this slogan, "Be the difference," which was to empower all to make decisions that kept themselves and others safe and ensured that we created an exceptional experience in the lives of those they served. It was an encouragement to allow each and every person at every level to be able to make a difference that day in the life of someone else, whether it be their family, a coworker, or the customer. Now on to component number 2. In an ideal culture, the executive leader creates the vision and story that influences the senior leadership, who empowers and strengthens the middle leaders, who then support the frontline leaders to deliver the desired impact. Our primary purpose as leaders at any level should be on creating the business systems and providing the interpersonal support our teams need to create the behaviors that will leave a lasting and positive impact on our customers. Let me review 2 ways that this can be done. The first, people respond to positive leadership and will be willing to lend us their potential when we create an environment for them to do that. This is according to Deming's 7th principle. Deming believed that the primary role of a leader is to facilitate the transformation of an organization. This transformation involves moving away from traditional command and control management styles to embracing a new philosophy focused on quality, innovation, and systemic thinking. Second benefit of doing this is that effective leadership involves empowering employees by fostering an environment of trust and motivation. Leaders should encourage open communication, collaboration, and innovation, which are critical for driving improvement and adapting to changes. And you can't do this by telling people how to behave. Really, for 2 reasons. 1, organizations are too complex. And the second, people simply don't have the patience or tolerance at this point for that anymore, and will leave just as quickly as they joined. So here are some ways that you can effectively develop individuals. First, you can ask their opinion about the best way to work. You can include them in the future ways of working and in those important conversations. You can feedback results to them in a very timely and effective manner. You can train them and coach them, which one important thing to remember here is to meet them where they're at and to assess how well they have clarity on the goal, the ability to do the goal, are motivated to achieve the goal, and provide dedicated improvement time so they can create real value for the customer and themselves. When we engage in these behaviors, we create the cohesion we need as leaders to achieve the results that we're looking for. The second, we can follow Deming's 8th point, which is to drive out fear. When fear is eliminated, employees feel safe to voice their opinions, report problems, and suggest improvements without fear of retribution. This openness leads to better problem solving and innovation, as employees are more willing to share their insights and ideas. And also, fear can lead to distorted data, as employees might present only favorable information to avoid negative consequences. By driving out fear, organizations can ensure that the data used for decision-making is accurate and honest, leading to more effective management decisions. Now, let me share a recent example of how important this idea is to effective teaming. Starting in 2012, Google created a project called Project Aristotle, which was designed to understand what makes teams successful. The project aimed to identify patterns and behaviors within teams that led to high performance. Google spent 2 years studying 250 attributes of their 180 teams. Initially, they thought that the recipe for a successful team would be a combination of high performers and experienced managers and unlimited free resources. But later, they found out that they were wrong. They found that when individuals feel the following 5 ways, they were more successful as a team. So at number 5, team members think their work matters and creates change. At number 4, work is personally important to members. At number 3, team members have clear roles, plans, and goals. At number 2, team members get things done on time and meet Google's high bar for excellence. And number 1, the most important factor that helped determine if a team was going to be effective and successful, team members felt psychologically safe or had no fear to take risks and be vulnerable in front of each other, also known as psychological safety. Creating psychological safety, or in other words, a fearless organization, is one of the most important areas you can focus on because it creates an environment where you can uncover the previously unknown elements of your business. Now, how will you know if you have a psychologically safe environment? Really, you observe. Have you ever had a question or felt like you need to make a comment at a meeting, but you look around the room and none of your colleagues seem to be asking it? Maybe you're supposed to know, or maybe this is a topic that you just shouldn't bring up. So you don't ask the question or you don't make the comment and think that you'll figure it out later. But what happened at that particular moment when you decided not to say something was that not only did you rob yourself, but others were robbed of having that small moment of learning and of reflection. Often people do not want to seem or to look ignorant, incompetent, intrusive, or negative. We want to be seen as very positive, contributing members of society. We want to thrive. We want to help. We want to be engaged. But because we don't want to look any of those negative aspects, we don't ask questions, or we may not admit mistakes if we feel like we're going to be looking intrusive or negative. We may not offer new ideas, and we won't critique the status quo. And this strategy works perfectly for self-protection, but it also creates an unsafe environment where we don't innovate, question old ideas, learn from each other, and above all, we don't improve the organization. So here's the second question that you can go around and ask people today to understand where your culture is. How well does our leadership development program prepare individuals to be mentors and coaches? And as you listen to the answers or review your data, you can bring and start to chart a course of action toward creating an environment where people give and receive feedback and questions are asked freely. So here's where you can start. You can ask the following questions with the aim or purpose of becoming a better coach or mentor. In our department, is it easy for people to speak up? Are people on this team eager to share information about what doesn't work, as well as share information about what does work? Or you can also ask, is it easy for teams in this organization to get any data or forecasts that the members need to do their work? And as you ask these questions, you'll write them down and take it back so you have an opportunity to reflect on them and start to see where can you have a real impact and make a difference in the lives of others. Component number 3. Deming said, it's not enough to do your best. You must know what to do and then do your best. Also, you want to have these barriers broken down so that you can do your best with other individuals. By breaking down barriers, organizations can foster a collaborative environment where departments work together as a cohesive unit to foresee and address potential problems in production and product use. When departments operate in silos, it can lead to duplication of efforts and wasted resources. By encouraging cross-departmental collaboration, organizations can streamline processes, eliminate redundancies, and enhance overall efficiency. The main barriers are a lack of cooperation between areas. Here are some examples. Between purchasing and research and development, between quality and production, between costing or the accounting function and sales, between demand planning and sales, or lack of cooperation between production and corporate training. These are some areas that you can look at today to see, are there are there barriers between these departments where the two departments just aren't quite jiving or focus on the right things? The main problem is that each area is focused on optimizing their area and not working as a team for the company. As leaders, our opportunity is to align an organization to optimize the whole. When we don't break down barriers, the department processes we have in place in standard work for handoffs will often fail us. Let me show you an example of what happens when we have a lack of cooperation between the quality department and the production department. In one organization I ran as a chief executive, we had a quality management process that focused on survey readiness. And we had an operations department that focused on throughput and output. We would get a survey from a national agency about every 3 years. And these surveys were vital because it would determine if we would remain operational based on how compliant we were with government standards. And with every survey, there would always be some sort of improvement opportunity. They were typically minimal in nature, but would most certainly be an area of focus when the next survey came around. So there are some things that we would need to do to prepare. So what do you think typically happened regarding the sites or operations effort to fix the issue before the next survey? Do you think it looked like line number A, where it was a steady focus on closing the gaps throughout the time period? Do you think it looked more like B? Little work at the beginning, but in the middle of the cycle, a large amount of work, and then it would trail off because items were fixed? Or do you think it looked like C? Large amounts of work right before and up until the surveyor entered into the building, and maybe even sometimes while the surveyor was in the building. I imagine you probably guessed it, that it was C. I would often ask myself why this would happen. And we would always say that what needed to happen was greater collaboration, because we were always focused on being survey ready, but the message wasn't sticking. It was largely because operation wasn't accountable to quality. And quality was always seen as an information gatherer and sender. So operations would listen to the feedback and the quality department would continue to give it. But in the end, operations knew that the real concern was making sure the operations executive was pleased with what was happening with the output. So to reduce this effect, we need to create connections between departments that encourage mutual accountability and focus. So here's the last question that you can ask to be able to assess how well your organization is performing on creating a learning environment. Are our key processes aligned with the organization's purpose and designed to generate the right behaviors? So where can you start? When we look at organizations, we often make sure that there is an aim of any particular process that's connected to values and has written or visual standards. And in the survey readiness process, we definitely had those. And we even had performance metrics because we wanted to see how well we were progressing towards closing that gap. But what was missing was often something that we call a behavioral metric, which could be how often leaders inspect an area throughout the cycle. What were the expectations around what they do when they receive a notice of an area of opportunity from a surveyor? What are leaders expected to do when someone informs them that they are feeling a bit overwhelmed and therefore may not be able to do some of these smaller tasks to be survey ready? When we don't measure behaviors in our system, we allow silos to form and individuals become entrenched in their own department or teams. The last part is also making sure that we have a designated owner. Even though the quality manager was responsible for the survey readiness aspects of giving information, they often weren't given the authority to really influence others in a way that they were seen as the expert and as one that was critical to the success of their department. So when you designate an owner, you want to make sure that owner is really upheld and shown to be an expert and a person of great need to help that other department achieve their goals, thereby making them team goals. So let me end on what information you might need to build a business case to start a journey towards creating a learning culture. First statistic, 76% of employees say they are more likely to stay at a company that offers continuous training and development and learning. Second statistic, 94% of employees would stay at a company longer if it invested in creating systems of behavior for organizational learning, removing those particular barriers or silos. Let me end on a brief story to help illustrate this point. It's the story of Microsoft. So under the leadership of the CEO, Satya Nadella, Microsoft underwent a cultural transformation that emphasized learning and growth over blame and competition. Nadella focused on fostering a growth mindset within the organization, encouraging employees to view challenges as opportunities for learning rather than failures to be criticized. This was important because in 2014, Microsoft's culture was characterized by competition between teams and between individual employees. Since embarking in this transformation and creating this growth-oriented culture, the market value of the company increased from 300 billion to over 1 trillion in this time frame. And the key shifts to be able to do this that they put in place was promoting psychological safety, encouraging employees to take risks, share ideas, and learn from their mistakes, encouraging collaboration by breaking down silos, and investing in learning and development, where the company invested heavily in training programs and resources to support continuous learning. And as a result, Microsoft saw significant increases in employee engagement and satisfaction. Here are some books that I study and you have used and even helped to write to give more information about how you can create a learning culture. On the books on the left, The Essence of Excellence and Deep Excellence are books that were created by SA Partners and where we document much of our research and our activities within the organization. Great reads for you to be able to see what are some practical ways to continue to build this. And on the right, several other books from other authors throughout the country that you can start to look at and get a feel for how you can build positive leadership and create a learning culture. So what 3 things can you do today? Well, first, ensure that your purpose is clear throughout the organization. What is your slogan or motto? Second, think like a mentor and a coach. Ask questions and observe. See what happens when you start asking more questions and listening versus giving advice freely. You're going to see a substantial change in the willingness of your people to give you information that you might not have been aware of previously. And ensure your processes link your departments. When you're not getting the behaviors you desire, such as that survey readiness only when the surveyor is in the door, you need to take a look at your processes. Are they causing departments to compete because one department is measured on throughput and output while another is measured on quality? Or are they evaluated equally on the output and the quality?
Brian, thank you so much for today's session. I thoroughly enjoyed it and I hope others did too. I know you had quite an audience watching today, so that was great. Do join us next week for a session with Gary Corbett on developing your behavioral blueprint. So we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you, Brian, and thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the SA Partners YouTube channel and watch our Changemakers Bite-Size series here.